Hello, welcome back to Revender in Sports and another edition of What is in Our Stand today. Today, I unfortunately have to be the bearer of bad news to my cameraman. Say hello, Juan.
Hey, everybody.
So Juan had a little mishap, and he tipped over. How fast were you going, sir?
Not that fast. I was just getting back on the bike trail. It
Yeah.
was entering a bike trail to
Yeah.
get back on the road.
Yeah. So like 5-10 miles per hour.
Yeah, slow.
Yeah, slow. Right. Just getting up to speed. And he hit something on the ground that is, I think, is questionable, and I think it's a safety issue. So we may do a little more investigating on that. However, the reason he is here today is so that I can do a crash inspection on his bike. Now, there are some very basic things that you need to do if you're riding a carbon frame, carbon fork, for a crash inspection. So what we're doing now is we're going to go from front to back on the bike, but this is not going to be a full length video on that. I have it's two-ish, and I've got a 2:30 appointment, and I mean I've got 3 appointments before closing, so I have to shoot a quick video and then move on. But what I wanted to show you is his fork and one of the dropouts. Now, it'll be interesting to see if Trek can come up with a fork for this bike. Do you know what year this bike is, Juan?
How about 2018, I believe?
2018. Do the best you can to get in here and focus on this. Let me know when you've got, okay. So you see this tab here? A lot of us in the bike industry, we call this lawyer lips or lawyer tabs, but basically they are designed to, as a redundant system, as a safety measure, if you haven't locked down your skewer all the way, or if it were to come open, right? So you have to kind of unthread your skewer to be able to drop out the wheel. So this right here, you could see it's definitely damaged. But if you need a comparison, let's look at this one. And you can see the difference there. Now, in the search for lighter, stiffer, and all that stuff, you know, carbon fiber and, extreme lightweight has become in my opinion, it's a fruitless search. There's always going to be something lighter next year, but, you know, manufacturers are trying their best to make lighter componentry. So in this case, this being a carbon fork, you can even see the material there. So now my friend had to get home. So he got back on his bike and he rode away and got back home. How much further did you go after that?
33 miles.
33 miles. Now, you know, he didn't know that and you hit your head too, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so that's right. That's why we have a new helmet waiting for you here. But yeah, so he hit his head and probably a mild concussion, probably wasn't thinking about, hey, let me inspect my frame. And honestly, would you? I don't know. If you look really quick at your main down tube, top tube, seat tube, you look at your chainstays, you're thinking, okay, I'm good to go. I'm going to get back on the bike. But yeah, in this case, that fork dropout is compromised. I mean, that is unsafe, and I'm so glad that you're okay, sir. But
Thank you.
But yeah, big learning experience for me as well. I've got carbon forks on most of my bikes. Even my Ritchie steel bikes have carbon forks. I have 2 steel forks. I have one on my fixed gear, which is a steel bike, and then I have one on my Tomasini, which is also a steel fork. But Yeah, if you're out there riding carbon and you have a tip over, I mean, this gentleman was only going 5 to 10 miles per hour, so these things can happen. But he actually, did you hit that thing? It was like a pipe, or what is it?
Yeah, like a pole, like a bar, metal bar.
Yeah, and it was only like what, 3-4 inches off the ground?
Yes,
And
it was very low.
yeah, and yeah, well, I guess it was high enough. But I guess once you hit that, then you came down.
Yes.
You know, accident investigation is a very interesting thing. When I was getting my undergrad through Embry-Riddle, which is an aeronautical university, one of my most fun classes was going through accident investigations. And, you know, they used to teach us, you know, you got to ask why 5 times. And by the time you get to the 5th time, you usually can get to the root issue, the root problem. So it's like, okay, well, this wing fell off. Well, why did the wing fall off? Well, the rivets gave way. Well, why did the rivets give way? Well, because there was corrosion. Well, why was there corrosion? Well, because the preventative maintenance wasn't done. Well, why wasn't the preventative maintenance not done? Well, because mechanic John signed off on it or something. Well, why did he sign? And then you're like, oh, he didn't even notice that the rivets were corroded because he was sleepy and this was his 3rd 15-hour shift in a row and he missed it, right? So anyway, I always like to add a little something into my videos, and I think that's what you folks like. So but yeah, so we're going to have to try to get a fork, and this fork, even if it's new, the paint's probably not going to match, just because this bike's been out in the sun, and you know, UV rays have probably faded it a little bit. I've seen that with a lot of bikes. The paint, even though it's got clear coat on it, the paint eventually fades, and the color, when you look at a brand new one, it just won't match. So, but maybe just a black fork, a service fork for size 54, 56?
56.
Yeah, so should be a common fork, should be available from them. So anyway, that's where we're at. Please like and subscribe, and we will see you up the road.